Hey guys, J77 here doing another movie review for Magic Expression and YouTube, and this one is a little bit late. Who am I kidding? It's way late, but like I said, with the ongoing schedule I have along with blogging and also other video things that I was working with, it took me a long time to get to this movie, and I'm thankful that I did, so now I can talk about it. It's one of a very few movies that I'm going to be reviewing for Magic Expression, as well as some other web sharing sites as well. And the movie I'm going to be talking about is Think Like a Man. Now, this is going to be a little different style of review that I'm going to be doing, because I'm going to do a little comparison of another black director. This movie was directed by Tim Story, and I'm going to compare his style of directing a little bit towards the one of Tyler Perry. And the reason being is that a lot of people, reviewers, video bloggers, and bloggers have really said this is the movie that Tyler Perry should be focusing on. I'm not too sure that's a wise thing to say. I think for the reason is that Tyler Perry, it's clear that he focused on a certain fan base, and that fan base has been pretty loyal to him throughout his stage plays and his movies throughout the years, and he's not going to change anytime soon. I will say he's improved, because I think he's not a great director at all, but he has improved tremendously over the years. And the reason why I'm comparing some of his work to this one film is because the one thing that I know a lot of people hate about him, or really give him the most heat, is that he makes a whole lot of villains and very little characters that people can grow to like. And that's been the thing I've been noticing a lot with his films too, that it's pretty much almost script by script the same formula, where you have a woman who's been emotionally or physically abused, all the way to possibly the whole entire family not liking her, or some of her friends giving her bad advice. You always have the one person, the charming, handsome man who will eventually sweep her off her feet in the end, or marry her in the end, or ask to marry him in the end. You also have Medea at most times, even though it's not just the Medea series, where she is the enforcer and she basically put everybody in order, and that formula seems to rub people the wrong way in many cases, to the point where they don't even bother seeing the film, because most of the time they pretty much can picture what exactly the film is like. I think the only two films that doesn't follow that formula that is actually a Medea film is Meet the Browns, and even I Can Do Bad by Myself. And even though I Can Do Bad by Myself really is pretty much Medea cameoing, it tries to stay away from that formula, even though it failed miserably in my opinion. But it tried to stay away from that formula. Browns completely is probably one of his better films that I have seen, with The Deed probably not being a movie that it should have been. I know he was trying to be serious, but he was not trying to be. It just didn't work with that film, and I'll probably talk about that in a later date. But the reason why I'm bringing this up now is because with Think Like a Man, you didn't come into this film, you didn't leave this film hating the characters. At least I didn't. The characters were, for the most part, likable characters. Even despite some of their selfish ways, I still enjoy seeing them on the big screen. That's really credit to the acting in this film. The acting was pretty good. The storyline was pretty much basic. You have the woman not feeling they are being mistreated, being used, or you have one who felt she's willing to have a permanent commitment in terms of marriage, but done is not. And they turned into a book which was entitled Think Like a Man. I believe it has another title thing, Act Like a Woman, Think Like a Man, and it happens to be a real book that's written by Steve Harvey. And Steve Harvey himself makes some very cameo appearances explaining certain things that man wants and desires, and he's like giving information that's basically for women. And because of some of the stuff that these women goes about, they pick up the book to see if they can get pointers on how to, land themselves on better women to suit their needs. There are different themes in this film. I actually came to know. I thought it was just one theme, but there's actually different themes, and it's broken up into different type of little stories. One, you have the mama's boy. The other one, you have the one who has all these dreams but never follow through. You have another one who is pretty much a player. He only goes after what's in the girl's pants. You also have the one where, and he was actually the most funniest one, where he's leaving his wife. He said he's done with her, arguing on the phone constantly, but in reality he does love her, and eventually you pretty much know that he's going to get back with her. You have, as far as the woman's concerned, you have one who makes a lot of money, very successful, and looking for that equal that is with her. And you have the one who's in an interracial marriage, and wants her man to pop the question. You have the woman who has a son, and she's pretty much afraid that once the man's noticed you have a son, she won't deal with her because of that situation. So you have all these, that and some other cliches that's also in there, but these are as crazy as it may sound, these are relatable themes that's in the film that anyone, no matter what color they are, can actually relate to, and that's pretty much where this film works. They has likable characters, that there's not all bad guys, they're actually all people who go through the same problems and have the same issues, but more importantly have relatable themes that both men and women also goes through. If you watch this film, you probably know someone or have gone through the same experience, and more for women than men, but men too. But you really will have the same type of experience at one form or another. The pacing was good. And how they represented these stories were pretty surprisingly well balanced. Especially once the film really kicked into high gear. And I have to say, surprisingly, the direction was surprisingly well done. Tim Story, who, if you remember, Barbershop, did his wonderful job in this film, and it definitely had that somewhat Barbershop feel. Granted, I didn't like his last two Fantastic Four films, but from terms of this movie, I think he did a pretty good job. Surprisingly well done job. I was actually surprised he actually directed this film, and for the most part, I think that he pretty much set the tone for a lot of films to be made like this in the long run. We will see, but I think that he actually proved that you can make a serious tone, an urban type film, and make it serious enough and respectful enough for anyone who are looking for this type of movie. There are some few issues with this film I have, which hurt the film a lot in terms of my rating, and that is the fact that this film is a comedy. I was not laughing much in this movie, and that's kind of sad to say, because I really wanted to fully enjoy this film, but I find myself really not laughing at all in most of the jokes. There were some jokes that I actually did like. One of the jokes that I actually was laughing about was when you have this guy who's pretending to be a rich guy, or someone who is in the ranking of this woman, and she doesn't know that he is basically a entry-level cook, or online cook. And how they end up hook up is because he was supposed to park the car and give the car to the owner, but since he saw the girl, he really took the car and drove it towards the girl, and that set up the meeting. Of course, he doesn't want to tell her that he doesn't have that six-figure digits that she has. So he pretends to be something he's not, and you have one of the guys who happens to be away with his wife, pretty much living, I believe, to his friend's house, and he was the chauffeur, and he saw the woman, and he just basically hit on her, almost blowing up his cover. I laughed at that. I laughed at the fact that and I noticed the most funniest part is with that one character, which, by the way, he's a good comedian. I like his stand-up comedy very, very much. When they were supposed to be playing ball, and you see these big guys, I mean, these tall guys and a tall woman, and he's just talking smack, and I'm like, dude, you're not going to win this. I mean, just let it go. So I was laughing at that. But other than that, a lot of the jokes, sadly, was missed. A lot of misses in the film, and that's really too bad, because I really wanted to enjoy the full length of the film. Because I tell you right now, as much as I was really into this movie is very, very predictable. This film it does not get a good job of letting you know this is how we're going to go, this is where we're going to be in the middle, and this in the end, know that everybody's going to get together, because this theme, like I said, is based on Harvey's book of how to know what the man wants and how to counteract that with the woman's needs. Well, I'm not giving nothing away. The men found out that they were reading the book, and he did the reverse effect, which pretty much they was doing exactly what the woman wanted them to hear, and it was working fine until every one of them found out. Well, you know, things ensues, and later on in this film, after the heads are cool and after they realize they truly love each other, that everybody made up, and pretty much the end. Yeah, I liked the last ending a lot, but I kind of wish it could have done something to shake it up, change the style of storyline, catch me off guard, and say, oh yeah, I didn't see that coming. But no, from start to finish, you pretty much know exactly what this film is going to go, and that's something that also hurt the film for me. But more so with the fact that the comedy really was mostly missed for me. Lastly, I don't know what it is about it, but I kind of felt that the movie itself didn't help Steve Harvey's book all that much, because you know, when it's talking about, it's like an advice book. It's basically supposed to give advice for women who wants to know their men better. Well, if that's the case, it didn't really do that good of a job, at least from my standpoint. I think it didn't do much of a good job. In fact, it didn't really matter what the book said, because in the end it got together anyway. So I really don't know if that actually helped the book in terms of sales or not. I don't know if that was his main motivation. I don't know. But I kind of felt that was kind of weird how the book seemed to be pointless at the end, especially when it comes down. I think that Jamie Foxx version, where he wrote the book on how to expect from women, was actually a better movie than this one. But to me, it's just my feel on it. I just think the book it became pointless down the road. So, of course, you guys may disagree, but you know, that's just my opinion on the matter. Music, I gotta say, the music was good. I actually liked some of the music they choose for the movie. There was some music, basically a score, which felt like I was watching a UPN sitcom, which, what can I say? But overall, the film strength really does even it out somewhat, because, like I said, the characters, you didn't walk away hating these characters. You really wanted to see how things go. The pacing was good enough where you really wanted to stay with these characters. The performances were spot on. I expected no less from good quality stars. And to be honest with you, I was really into the story. The only thing that hurt this film, to me, in my knowledge, is the fact that it just wasn't funny for me. There was only a few scenes that I laughed, but that's it. I mean, and that don't constitute for a good comedy. I'm sorry. It's just, I just wasn't laughing. I thought this film, for the seriousness, it did a great job, and I kind of wish they made it into more like categorized as more drama. But I don't think they would have gotten too many people if they felt it was a serious drama. But it's a serious film. It does touch on some good themes that I think that people can relate to. And I'm gonna be very straightforward, guys. This movie is probably was a success because it just wasn't. It wasn't like a Tyler Perry film. It really had something, whether you're black and white, man or woman, that you can actually dig into, and that's a good sign for a film, because this film was very successful. This film stayed on the top 5 for almost a month. That is unheard of for an urban film like this. It stood on the top 5 for a long, long time, and that's a feat by itself that I think that both the director, producer, the cast should be proud of. I mean, the film is only a few shots away from making $100 million, and I don't think too many films like this made $100 million, like ever. I could be wrong, but from my knowledge, I haven't seen it yet. But kudos to the film on that. Overall, my feelings with it, I'm giving it 2.5 stars. Like I said, the comedy hurt the film. The story, very well predictable. It's just, I never once felt, oh, that's a twist. So I was shocked. Everything that happened, I pretty much knew was going to happen. However, 2.5 stars is not a bad rating for me. It's just, it just could have been a little bit better. It just missed the 3-star mark. Again, the acting was great. The story was good. The pacing was nice. The comedy, big miss for me. And it's the storyline itself is just too predictable. I'm sorry, just too predictable. But anyway, it's still, don't take my word for it. You guys may actually like it more than I did in terms of comedy. And if you guys like films like these, you should give it a try. You know, give it at least one try, at least as a matinee screening. You may actually come back and say, hey, I liked it more because of this, and that, and I'd be like, okay, cool, that's fun. But that's my review on it. 2.5 stars for basically the acting, the pacing, and the directing. I think the directing was good. As well as the power keeping me interested for the film from beginning to end. Other than that, comedy really hurt this film, and the predictability also hurt this film. The music, it could have been better, but for most of the main theme tracks of the film, I actually enjoyed. So that's my review of Think Like a Man. If you guys seen it, didn't see it, like it, didn't like it, let me know. Comment below. Until then, this is J77 saying, take care, be safe.